Hello, what's going on everybody? In today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys my Super Bowl predictions, and it's going to be including all of my playoff predictions and my NFC and AFC standing predictions as well. And if you haven't watched all of my NFL record predictions for each division in the NFL, make sure you go watch that before this video so you're all caught up. To start this video, I'm going to be giving you guys my standing predictions for the 2023-2024 NFL season. These are my AFC standings. I have the Chiefs at 1, Bengals at 2, Dolphins at 3, Jags at 4, and the Jets, Bills, and Ravens all making wildcard spots, with the Chargers, the Steelers, and the Patriots all in the hunt. Again, if you want all the predictions for each of these teams, go to my record prediction videos. Link is in the description and pinned on my channel. And then for my NFC rankings, I have the Eagles, the 49ers, the Lions, and the Falcons all winning their divisions, with the Cowboys, the Seahawks, and the Giants making wildcard spots, with the Vikings, the Saints, and the Panthers being in the hunt, as well as the Bears, who are not in the graphic. Again, make sure you watch all my NFC record predictions videos are in the description and on my channel. But that's going to do it for the standing predictions. Let's get right into my wild card predictions. But before some of you guys rush to the comments, which I know you will, make sure you watch all the way through the video. And these are my honest predictions. So let's get back to it. For the first wild card matchup I have the Jets going up against the Jaguars. I have the Jets coming out on this one on top. The Jaguars are obviously a very great offense, but now they're having to play an elite defense and an offense that should likely be a top 15 unit. And I don't trust the Jags defense to fight up against Aaron Rodgers. In this matchup in particular, I don't trust them to generate enough pressure to phase Aaron Rodgers. And I think that the Jets defense will be able to at least hold the passing game as they were able to in last year's matchup. But I think this one's going to be a very close game. I think both teams score over 20 points, but the Jets come out on top with a defensive stop late in the game. Moving on to my second wild card game. In the AFC, I have the Dolphins going up against the Bills, and I obviously have the Dolphins winning this one. I'm adding in that Tua Tagovailoa will be healthy for this game, and if Tua is healthy, I think that they beat the Bills. I mean, if we look at last year's playoffs in the wild card, they almost beat the Bills with Skylar Thompson at quarterback, and now imagine what they could do with a better defense and with Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback. For the Bills, I think they're on the struggle bus for a good amount of the year. You might be surprised seeing them at 6. I have a feeling that the Bills defense is going to struggle against Miami's high-powered offense. They did that last year. They let up multiple 30-point games against them. They're not the best at adapting late in games, and Josh Allen typically has to play hero ball, especially in the playoffs. If we also base this on how they played the Bengals last year, the Bills are an early playoff loss. For the second year in a row, I had the Bengals facing the Ravens, and similar to last year, I had the Bengals coming out on top. I think the Bengals are flat out a better team. They've got such a high-powered offense with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins, as well as having a very solid defense, and they kept a ton of their defensive guys this offseason. But the Ravens added a lot of key pieces in the offseason. They got a better receiver core, and hopefully Lamar will face a full year. But in the past couple of years, the Bengals have just surpassed the Ravens at any step. They put up multiple 40 bombs on them. They beat them in the playoffs. And they're a team that can go toe-to-toe with the Chiefs. I think they're the better team, and I think they come out on top. Moving on to the NFC Wild Card, I have the Cowboys facing the Falcons, who made the 4th seed. And I think the Cowboys should easily best the Falcons. The Cowboys have just such a superior defense. And I think in this game, it could be a lot high scoring. And I think the Falcons will have to work through the ground tenfold. But I think the Cowboys offense can best the weaker Falcons defense. If this game does happen, I think it'll be a better game than on paper. Some people might think this will be a boring game, but overall I have the Cowboys winning this game. The two teams that were fighting for a playoff bid in Week 18 of last season are now both in the playoffs facing each other, with the Lions at the 3 seed winning the NFC North and the Seahawks at the 6 seed. I think that the Seahawks are able to win this game. I think that their offense will easily best the Lions' weak-ish defense, especially with the Seahawks wide receiver core facing the Lions secondary. I think that the Seahawks could have put up 30 points in this game. The Lions will also have to really rely on their offense. The Seahawks don't have the best defense as well. And I think the Lions work through the ground heavily. In this potential matchup, I think both teams can put up 30 points, but I think the Seahawks end up on top. And then for the Giants 49ers wildcard matchup, I also have the 49ers coming out of this game. The 49ers passing game and offense is just too much to beat for the Giants. And for the Giants, I really had them clawing their way all the way to the playoffs. And I think once they reach it, they'll be tired and beat down. And this could be a potential easy matchup for the 49ers. So I have them winning this one. I think that the AFC Divisional games, based on my predictions, are going to be some of the most fun games of the season. We had the high-powered Bengals offense going up against the high-powered Dolphins offense as well. But in the end, I think I do have the Dolphins winning. If the Dolphins defense projects how I think it will with Jalen Ramsey, who will be back at this point, he'll be out for 8 to 10 weeks, but he'll be back for the playoffs. The Dolphins should be the better team, and that's such a wild statement because the Bengals are such a good team. They made it to 2 AFC championships back-to-back. But I have a good feeling that if Tua is healthy, the Dolphins will be ultra competitive. This game could also end up as a 30-point game for both teams, and this game could potentially go down to the last second. This is a game where both teams could end up being the victors. And in an ultra similar fashion, I think that the Jets-Chiefs game will also be probably the best game of the year. My one concern for the Chiefs is I don't know how they're going to make 6 AFC Championship games in a row. If we run the statistics, they have a less than 1% chance of making it in a row. But this is football we're talking about. We're not talking about statistics. But I think it's going to be hard for the Chiefs to best this Jets defense. They do have a regular season matchup in week 4, so we'll have to see how their defense attacks the Chiefs offense. But this will probably be the best game of the season all around. And I think in probably the biggest upset of the year, the Jets will beat the Chiefs in a very close game like a 24-21 win. As a repeat for last year's divisional game, I have the Cowboys going up against the 49ers, and I have the 49ers winning this game, obviously. Their defense is just too good for the Cowboys' offense. They were able to shut them down last year, and I think that'll happen again this year. And essentially, as a repeat of last year, I've got the 49ers coming out on top. And then in a divisional game, birds against birds, I have the Eagles beating the Seahawks in the divisional game. Can't give enough praise to the Eagles on how they've built their team. Even though they lost a lot of key defensive pieces over the offseason, they were able to draft well enough to basically replace them. Losing both coordinators, Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon, will affect them. But at this point in the playoffs, I think that the Eagles will be rolling and defeat the Seahawks in the divisional game and move on to the conference championship. And we're at the conference championship game for the AFC. We have the number 5 seed Jets versus the number 3 seed Dolphins. These are two teams that I think could both flip-flop between the 5 and 3 seed depending on who wins the division. They have 2 interdivisional matchups and are now facing each other at the playoffs. And this really comes down to who looked better in their regular season matchups. Last year, I would say that the Jets looked a lot better. They put up 40 in week 5, and then they held the Dolphins to only 9 points in a must-win game in week 18. But also based on my projections and looking at last year, this year, and all factors, I think that the New York Jets make their way to the Super Bowl and beat the Miami Dolphins. Robert Saleh is from the same system as Mike McDaniel and knows exactly how that 49ers system works. As well as the Jets secondary being an exact counterpart of the Dolphins wide receiver core. I think that the Jets are able to best the Dolphins and make their way to the Super Bowl with a key defensive win. And look at this, we got the NFC Championship game as a repeat of last year. I think both these teams are the 2 strongest candidates to be the NFC Championship or Super Bowl contenders. They're the most well-built team, they have the best continuity, they're some of the best coached teams in the NFL, and they've already been in this spot. They are the teams to beat in the NFC, and of course, they beat everybody again. But in a surprise upset, I have the 49ers coming out on top and beating the Eagles. Hopefully in this game, Brock Purdy does not tear his UCL, and the 49ers defense is able to stop the Eagles offense. I really want to see this game. I really want to see how the 49ers respond to losing to the Eagles last year. And I think that Kyle Shanahan will get another bid to the Super Bowl. But also, the Eagles should be one of the biggest favorites to go back to the Super Bowl in the NFL. In my prediction, I just have them slightly losing. The storylines could not write themselves better. The NFL scriptwriters, aka me, were in their Duffy bag making this prediction. But in all seriousness, this is a very fun matchup. Robert Saleh was the ex-defensive coordinator of the 49ers after getting hired by the New York Jets in 2021. And the defense that Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh built is in a hybrid style of the Seahawks and 49ers system. So the 49ers are going to know what's coming at them. The 49ers are also Aaron Rodgers' kryptonite. Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, goes to Mr. Relevant as he becomes the only last draft pick in the NFL draft to make it to a Super Bowl, as well as Kyle Shanahan making his second Super Bowl of the 2020s. Drum roll, please. I've had this prediction since February 12th of 2023. After the conclusion was reached in Super Bowl 57, I had a gut feeling that the Jets would be in the Super Bowl in 2024, not only be there, but win there. And as some of you know me, I am a Jets fan, but I genuinely tried to be as unbiased as possible when looking at all opportunities for each team to make the Super Bowl. Especially here on YouTube, I tried to be as genuine as possible and as authentic as possible with my NFL takes, because that's most important when trying to build something that you really like. But I can truly honestly say that in a football mindset, the Jets have a really good chance to win the Super Bowl in 2024. And I've even written argumentative articles for my classes detailing how the Jets could potentially win the Super Bowl even without factoring in Aaron Rodgers, as I made these predictions before Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback and before all this hype was around from the media. Showing that tweet means I was in before a lot of these other people. So I'm not just following a trend, I'm not just following my bias, I'm following the gut feeling that I've had for a while now. And even if my prediction is wrong, I'd rather die standing than live on my knees. I'd rather go out on a limb and push the prediction that I truly think could happen instead of a prediction that would look better on paper and make me look less biased, but end up being right in the end and regretting that I didn't take that leap of faith. But in all seriousness, I think that the Jets can win the Super Bowl, and in this scenario with the 49ers, I think that their defense should easily best Brock Purdy and the offense as it's built to beat that type of offense. And then the offense, I think that Aaron Rodgers can finally overcome that hump against beating the 49ers in the biggest game. I think this is Rodgers' last year of production, and there's a potential that he could retire if the Jets are able to win the Super Bowl. After the 2-14 season, after the 4-13 season, after the season collapsed last year, I think that the Jets not only have the ammo, not only have the coaching, but truly have the ability to win the Super Bowl in 2024. But as always, here are my Super Bowl contenders for the 2023-2024 NFL season. The AFC obviously has the highest abundance of Super Bowl contenders. Not even listed on this list are the Jaguars and the Bills. But the Chiefs, Bengals, Jets, Dolphins, Seahawks, 49ers, and Eagles are my 7 biggest contenders for the Super Bowl in my predictions. But if you like this video, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know who you think will win the Super Bowl. Let me know some of your playoff predictions. Let me know your NFC and AFC standings and some of your playoff seeds. Make sure you go watch all my NFL record predictions that are on my page. In my next video, I'm going to be going over my NFL power rankings, giving a power ranking for all 32 teams in the NFL, going from 1 to 32. But that's going to do it for me. As always, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.